cloud. There we go.
All right. Welcome again to the koha-US general meeting. We always start to see if anybody has any announcements. Those can be big, those can be small, whatever is going on that people want to share. No announcements. All right. I was wondering if maybe people were going to share their plans for the 4th of July, but we'll move on. All right. Annual conference update. Registration is still open. If you have not registered, there is still time. For in-person registration, we have actually until August 9th for that to happen. So there's still plenty of time to do it. Right now we have a total of 166 total registrants, 45 in person, but that's not counting all the people from Round Rock, which we just don't have on the list yet. So that will add like 10 to 15 to that. Sorry, I was giving somebody a link to that. So yeah, we're really excited. It's going to be another full conference, and looking around at the people in this meeting, I see a lot of people that are planning on coming. So I think a lot of you have already registered, but if you haven't, or there's other people that you work with that want to join us online or in person, that is still open. So that's my update on that. And I think we just had Nick join us. There's a bug that he's going to talk about real quick that relates to this next upgrade. So there's Nick.
Hi. What do you want me to say?
Could you explain it? I know nothing about it other than there's a bug.
Okay, so we began doing the early adopter upgrades, and what we realized is there was an issue with the new CSRF protection that we've put into place. That's essentially just like CSRF just means that we put a little string into every form that you submit so that we can ensure that it is you submitting it, you didn't come from another link, and that you're intending to go where you want to go, essentially. The bug is that a lot of you, I'm looking at a few of you in particular, have a lot of JavaScript that does magical things on your site. If one of those things is that it goes out and hits the reports API, the service API for reports, what that effectively does is it uses your CSRF token in that request. And so when you try to log into Koha, you can no longer log in because the CSRF token has already been invalidated. So that's essentially that's the root cause of the bug. And, you could work around it if everyone went and updated all of their JavaScript, but we thought that was kind of a high bar for everybody. The bug has now been pushed to master, and we've got it in a build. So Liz is going to be sending out some news about that. And essentially what that does is it just creates a new endpoint, a new app endpoint in Mojolicious, so that when you hit that service request API, it's not going through the CSRF stuff and it's not going to invalidate your login. Any questions?
So what it sounds like to me is that if you're an early adopter, you may be slightly delayed as this before this gets released to a new point release. But if you're not, then there's probably you won't even know anything happened.
Correct. And this is sort of a reason why we do the early adopters program. It helps us catch these things once we start doing live updates. We realize, hey, this is going to be a problem.
I guess
so
my other go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so the system worked.
Yes, and that was my next question, was about the system. How are you feeling this is going with the early adopters now that we're moving up the timeline for Biowater partners and not having as big of a delay? Obviously, you've caught one thing. Does that things seem to be working as expected? That delay isn't
Yeah.
Like removing that delay isn't problematic.
No, over the years we found that the early adopters are the ones who catch most of the problems. And then there's, a trailing bit of new bugs reported by regular users. And that's sort of just when you get to the people who are using the different parts of Koha, you find the different parts that need to be adjusted. Um, so we don't think that there will be a large impact to the timeline chains. It's really just going to move you closer to getting the features.
Yeah, which I think we all
Yeah.
like. And I will Kelly's not here, but I would commend her because she put together a really good release notes, particularly for the first half of it, screenshots of everything, super helpful. So I found those really helpful as we prepare for this. So I just wanted to note that. All right, Nick. If you have anything else you wanted to share while you're here, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I appreciate you coming in to explain this issue.
Thanks for having me. I might hang out for a little bit and listen, if that's
Okay,
okay.
you are welcome to do so. All right. Next up, we have a long planned guest speaker, not a surprise guest speaker like Nick. So Katrin Fischer does a lot of really amazing work in the Koha community, particularly in an area of the quality assurance process in which things tend to get bogged down a bit. So having somebody that spends a lot of time moving stuff through that process and providing good feedback is really critical. And she was also the release manager on the most recent upgrade that we will be, as we just talked about, we'll be getting soon. So she's going to just talk a little bit about those things and then take whatever questions you have. So I'll turn it over to her.
Yes, thanks for inviting me. I'm not nervous at all. No. Yes. I prepared some slides because I'm not nervous and don't need to hold onto something, but it will help a little. So give me a moment to find the right thing to share. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. I just called it some notes on because it covers like different things that I was asked about in our email conversation previous to this. Yes. So who am I? First of all, I'm a librarian, like maybe probably most of you are. In Germany, you can have a bachelor degree in library science, so that's what I got. I'm living in Konstanz, which is very pretty, as you can see on the picture in Germany. It's right at the Swiss border and very famous for like the countryside and the big lake and the Rhine River. So come and visit. Nick already did. So my work is as an IT coordinator in the Koha team at the Bibliotheksservicezentrum Baden-Württemberg, which translates to something like Library Service Center of the state of Baden-Württemberg. I wrote that down because it's a bit hard to explain what that is. The BSZ is a central infrastructure facility within the portfolio of the Baden-Württemberg Ministry of Science, Research and the Arts. MWK, with a wide range of services for academic libraries, archives, and museums. So Koha is one of the services we provide, but we're like public service and not a company. So that's maybe the main thing to take from that. I have been involved in the Koha community since about 2009. In Koha terms, that's like before the 3.2 release, just before that, which is where we started out. I think I've had about almost every role in the release team that there is. I've been translation manager assistant, bug wrangler. The most time I've spent as QA manager, like many years, and now I had the honor of being release manager for 2405, and I'm doing it again. So I'm already release manager for 2411 as well. Both the QA manager and the release manager have one thing in common. It feels like often like herding cats because you have all those different developers and they have all their own mind and priorities, and we all wear a lot of hats. So getting them all together on one table and working on the same thing at a time is really hard, but we keep trying, and it always kind of works out in the end. That's the good thing. we make it work. I think you might have seen something similar than this before. It's like a bug gets into Koha and maybe helps me a little bit about explaining what we do in QA and testing. So when I started out like pre 3.2, there was basically none of this. So we've added a lot of layers of quality assurance over the years to try and catch them all, the bad bugs. Sometimes we still miss a thing because there's so many variables and configurations that we can't catch everything, but we get better and better. And we catch a lot of stuff that you don't get hit with. So that's the great thing. So we put 4 pairs of eyes on the code. The independent tester, it would be great if this is a library and bringing the perspective of like, does it work? Does it work the way we want it to work? Does it like fit with all the other things? Like, is there consistency in how it works? And is it better than the other things? Is it different but better? Then maybe we should change the other things as well to make it all work the same. So yeah, this is a stage where librarians and like actually users can really help us. And then QA team and release manager always look at the code as well. Personally, I think writing a test plan is a good exercise for the developer because it also, when you write it up, you need to think about it and you might find the case that you've missed. And for the testers, it's always good, like insist on test plans if you test something because you have a right to a test plan, so to speak. And then you can try and see what is missing from the test plan too, like what parts it didn't mention that is very similar or also is touched by this feature, and so you can go there and test that as well. Yeah, I think I've already said that we really need like librarians and users to weigh in. I think sometimes often it's also helpful to have this input before even like the work gets started, like on the bug reports when they are filed. Sometimes there's like discussion about what is the use case, what do you need it to do, how should it be done, and it's also good to have like different perspectives there. Another thing that happens with like putting different people on the same code is that we can learn from each other and we can like see how other people like program stuff. So I think it's not only control, but it also like helps with communication and spreading knowledge to some degree. Just checking my notes. Yeah, that's, I think, about what I wanted to say about QA. It never ends. I think I've never managed to empty the QA queue. I've always been trying, but even with all the pushing and prodding, it never got to like 0. It's a bit easier with being a release manager right now, but I'm sure I will be hit with lots of stuff to push quite soon. So maybe let's move on. I got some numbers. The first 3 numbers from the release notes. The others I have counted myself. And I'm quite proud that we have achieved this, like 68 individuals contributed patches. This means like we have not like 10 developers, we have 68 people who actually wrote code for Koha this time. And we have 96 people who tested patches. And we have a growing number of organizations who sponsor features, and that's, I think, is very awesome. And the manual, like the documentation team, have come so far the last few cycles, and there's like 14 individuals now contributing to the manual, so we can catch up and make it better every day. You should really check out the manual if you haven't yet. There's like this new section, and it's really, really come along very well. There is a number we calculate from all those patch testing and patch writing. That's usually on the dashboard. You can see it right now if you scroll down too. But now it's already for the next release until it was at the end of the 24.5 release. We had an estimate of 4,700 work days that went into this release. So this is like 8-hour days and calculated with in some way. So yes, this is, I think, pretty impressive. I got like some personal highlights from the release notes and from the release. I've tried to not like, pick the ones that are like obvious ones, like the new features, but some that I think I like best. I really like that we now can send emails to a patron from Koha, because this is something that our libraries have requested a lot. And you can also use like templates that you make in the notices tool. You can add some templates and then pick them here and then just modify some data maybe for the user. Yeah. Genau. Pick email as an option from the existing list, and then you get the notice pull down as well. The next one I really, really like, because we don't have like configurable user roles yet, but now we have the option to copy and paste permissions from one user to the other. So if you have like a sample user and you need like 5 of them, you can now just set it up once and copy them over to the next one, which will save me a lot of time when we're setting up accounts for new libraries. So I'm really happy about this one. Then the next one is in acquisitions. I'm not sure if you've run into that one, but when you canceled an order and deleted the record, you couldn't see the title of the deleted record anymore. It just said like deleted record, and you couldn't make the connection to what was ordered. So now we show the title of the deleted record. And also, if you like have cancellations that have just been like mistakes, you can also delete order lines now from an open basket. This is something that we sometimes get asked to do for libraries, like delete canceled order lines, and now they can do it themselves, which is much easier for everyone. The next is a tiny usability fix, but I like those. I quite like those things where you're like those small things that always like they always get you a little bit upset, but you never get to file them maybe, but every time you use the tool, like I wish it would work another way. So this actually is the transport cost matrix, and if you have a lot of libraries, the header row and the first column will now be fixed. So wherever you scroll, you can always see the libraries and where you are at. So tiny but really nice, and maybe it will spread to other tables as well. So my last one, I think, is the item search. If you have a library with lots of libraries again, and like with lots of shelving locations, it was hard to select multiple, and you needed to know the like keyboard shortcut for it. And now it's a multi-select feature, so it just can go into the list and pick one and pick the next and remove one. I think this is much easier to use. And I really like it, and I like how it came to be. It was like a big German university library migrated to Koha last year, KIT in Karlsruhe, and this is one of their staff who made the feature, discussed it at the Hackfest, wrote it, got it tested, and now we have it. And I think that's it's pretty awesome to have that happening, like big libraries contributing, and also like these usability improvements that come directly from the users are always great. Okay. One of the emails asked what I was excited about, like that was the brief. So what I'm excited about right now is our new Mattermost chat. You can post pictures there, for example, and we have lots of different like channels, or not that many, but some. And we have a German one too. We have a French one and a UK one, maybe a US one soon. I don't know. And it has really helped with communication and like this, what Caroline did there, this quick check, is this just broken for me or for everyone else? And then we can confirm it and file it and keep things moving faster. Another thing to be excited about is our dashboard revamp. So it got a new design. If you haven't seen the dashboard yet, I put links in my slides. So it got a little bit like new layout, new colors, but also new features. Like these little icons, you can see what is a bug and what is an enhancement. And the really cool thing is in the upper right corner. At the top, you see a search field there, and you can type your name, and then you can find your very personal own dashboard where you see all the bugs you filed and the status of the bugs and the like patches you've written and where they are at in the queue. You can see your lifetime stats, and I'm pretty sure I'm putting it to a test with my 536 reported bugs in status new, but maybe it will like prompt me to work on some of those at some point. We also have a new Bugzilla skin that you can test and use. So just go into the preferences and pick the Koha version 2 skin, and then you get like the colors that the staff interface also has now. And it's a bit cleaner, and I think the fonts are a bit nicer to read. So it's a kind of a nice little usability and yeah, usability enhancement and beautification of the display. So that's what I have prepared. You can hit me with any questions that you have now. Thank you.
I definitely have a few questions, but I want to see if anybody else wants to jump in there before I just start going.
I have questions about the manual. How would we get involved in working on the manual? That always seems like a really good librarian-y task, and one I never have any idea like where to point people to.
Yes, I think the easiest is point them to the Mattermost chat and tell them to join the documentation channel, and people will really help them there to get involved. I think Heather has just started committing to the manual. Yes, so we're really happy about the new committers. If you're not sure if you want to really write something, but you want to like help with missing things or mistakes, you can also file a bug. So the documentation team is using Bugzilla, and just pick the I think documentation component, and then this will also alert them.
I am curious about, you mentioned there's like a new large library coming on in Germany. I'm just kind of curious how Koha is being used in Germany, and just how libraries are in Germany. I don't know how much you can compare that to the US, because you may know as little as I do about what's happening over here as I do over there. But I'm just kind of curious if you can talk a little bit about how that works, and how popular Koha is in Germany.
I don't have the numbers for that quite ready yet, but I can say that like there's at the moment we have multiple support options for Koha, which is really great. When we started out in like 2009, we were the only ones, and we can't take all of them because we're like we're serving academic libraries mostly. That's what is our task. But now there are support options for public libraries too, and I think there's a company that has over 100 libraries already, and there are some options for getting support if you're self-hosted. So things are going well, and it's a growing number of libraries migrating to Koha. The big library I mentioned was the very like first university library, like the big one. We have some smaller academics. But yeah, that was the big one who migrated last year. So this is kind of a milestone for us and for academic libraries. There are already some bigger public libraries using it.
Is there like a main support company, or are there several?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Is there like a support company that's generally used? You said some are self-hosted, but do a lot do support?
Yeah, there are support companies, and like I don't know if you're aware about Switzerland and Germany and Austria, we can understand each other. So if you want to have like German support, all those options work. So we have different options now also, and you can see in the support provider list, and there are companies, and there are some like us who are public service and offering it as well.
My other question. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
My other question is kind of on a different line. I was just curious how you got so involved in the QA process.
I usually say that I'm being clumsy. Like I find all the bugs and stumble into things that don't work. And the next step is like, okay, can like reporting, and then like being annoying on the IRC chat. I think that's how I started out, because I had this project and like everything felt broken. It was 3.2 before release, right? So that was maybe not the best moment. And then you get help and like fixing things, and you see like things getting fixed. And I may be the person who like wants to know how things work. So you start to look at how things work, and then you start testing things and doing tons of sign-offs. And I think it was a step-by-step process. So from being like running into the edge of the table or the bug in Koha, and then starting to work on fixes and testing and getting involved and like paying back for all the help I got with the first project I was working on. And it's like the communities can be quite addictive, I think. So it's really cool when you see like a feature that you kind of build yourself appear in a new version, and I still get like very excited about every patch from myself that it gets pushed. That has never changed or lost traction. But I'm also happy for every bug we can fix quickly, like the one that that Nick talked about. It's great to see when the system works and it goes fast through the stages, and we can push it and make sure that that it's fixed in a timely manner. Yeah, but I think I really like testing in the end. It's maybe a set of mind to like and you can't stop. Like when I work on Koha now and I see some like terminology that is wrong or something, you cannot unsee it now. That's maybe the downside of it.
Yeah, I'm just interested particularly in that sort of thing because it seems daunting to get to the level where you're at, but it sounds like it was all a very gradual, just happened over time. But I would, we definitely need more people like you involved in that process to help get things through as quickly as possible, but also making sure that they're meeting the standards we need.
I
Does
think
anybody else have? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think you can definitely like learn on the job. I mean, I probably be a better release manager this cycle than I was last one because I'm quicker now. I know the tools better, and I'm not as nervous for every time I push to upstream. It kind of gets easier every time you do it. The first time was very scary, and then gets less scary. And it's maybe the same with like filing bugs and testing patches. You just have to start somewhere with something small, and then you kind of grow into the more complex stuff.
Well, and I liked what you said earlier about kind of starting with just being vocal in Bugzilla and showing up on bugs to describe a use case or talk about how things work and what you want them to do. That's a nice low bar that everybody has experience and opinions.
Yes, definitely. I mean, you work in libraries, so you are the ones that will be using it, so you should be vocal about how you want things to work.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Well, I'm not seeing any. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight into all that you do and how you contribute so much to the community. I think the whole process is very interesting and important to making sure that things work the way they're supposed to, and while we're still getting those new features in. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. First time on koha-US.
Getting a good response in the chat. So
I guess that's the one question. Oh, she left. I was going to say, I wonder what time it is there.
Dinner time, I think.
Are they 5 or 6 hours ahead in the summer?
Oh, she's still here. She's just turned off her video.
Yeah, I can't turn it on again apparently, but it's 6 p.m., so not too bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
No, it was a good time.
Okay, our next topic, and I think maybe we'll also when we get into the open discussion with bugs, we can also talk about what other people are looking forward to about the upgrade. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about, see who was planning on attending either virtual or in person, KohaCon in Montreal, and see if maybe we could, some koha-US members could connect there. I will be there in person this year. My first time going to the outside the States conference.
I'll be there.
I'll be there too.
Are you guys presenting?
No.
I am. I'm doing like a show and tell of things I've broken mostly.
Nice. Yeah, I'm doing a just a presentation on my weird consortium that has so many libraries. Thought the international folks might be interested in that.
I'm going just for the sheer fun of going.
Excellent.
Do we know, is it going to be like the one in Finland in Helsinki where it was also the Pearl conference?
It is not a Pearl conference this time. So yeah, and that's that's the interesting thing. Sometimes it's this last time it was a Pearl joint conference, but we've had it be a koha-US / Koha International conference a few times. But this one is just purely Koha.
Now, the Pearl people at the conference in Helsinki were trying to get some Koha people to come to the Pearl conference in Las Vegas, I think it was. That was just last month. Does anybody know if anybody went to that?
Yes,
From-
Nick did.
Nick did, okay.
Yeah, he
Nice.
presented. He presented. I don't know if Nick is still here. I can't see, but
I don't see him.
okay, yeah, Nick presented. Oh, cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
I knew that they were trying to get some people there, and I thought about going, but it was the same week as I had other plans. So
Yeah, I don't know what I would have brought to a Pearl conference, knowing only how to spell it and little else beyond that. But that's cool. Hopefully we can, the Koha community can work with Pearl some more, and then we can get some more cross-pollination with them. Cool. Let's talk about bugs, issues, and the upgrade that's coming. Is there anything that is a bug that people are that isn't going to be on the release that people want to draw some attention to, or something on the release that they are looking forward to and want to talk about or have a concern about? Yes, Katrin, please hang out. Everybody is always welcome to our meetings. So definitely stay around.
now that Katrina is going to stay, nobody's going to say anything. It's going to be the least interesting meeting ever.
Well, I think we've already got interesting covered. We'll just see if we can make this last bit of the meeting valuable. But I'm looking at my normal contributors of people that always have bugs handy that they want to talk about.
Sometime before I went on vacation, I made a document that was all of the 2405, 2311 bugs that I was like excited about and going to look back at, and I don't know where I put it. It's in my computer somewhere. We'll find it. I don't know. Maybe I'll read the release notes again.
I did that thing where I used code to break it, so I haven't had a chance to play with it on my test server yet because I can't log in. So I don't have anything.
I could tell you, I looked through the Kelly's notes that I referenced earlier and was, got a lot out of it. And then in the subsequent weeks since I looked at it, it has completely been erased from my memory. If I were to thumb through it again, I'd probably be able to generate something. But oh yeah, Katrina's instead of just hearing us talk about how we can't remember anything, Katrina's helpfully providing the release notes so we can actually jog our memories. But how about what are you excited for, Katrina? You've probably looked at these a little bit more recently than I have.
I'm looking back to my chat that Dani started about in the partners channel about what we were looking forward to jog my own memory. Oh, the batch item modification from the item search. That's going to be really handy, I think, instead of having to export barcodes and then try to bring them in. And another step to just be able to say, yes, from this screen, these are the things I would like to edit right from the item search, I think will be really handy.
Yeah, that's one of those where I've gotten so good and so quick at my workflow for batch editing that it's gonna like blow my mind to have it even be to redo my workflow and even make it easier. Let's see, Barbara has weighed in with a bug. She likes 24480. Fields added with mark modification templates are not added in any ordered way. As is often with bug titles, if you read the title, you may not understand what the heck is going on there. So what does this do, Barbara?
Basically, it's if you are like when I've had it is when I've done something in Mark Edit and I've added fields or something, when those come into the Mark record, they're added at the bottom. So if I did something to like my call number or something, it's the 092 or 099 is all the way at the bottom of the Mark record rather than in the place it should be. And this, I think, is supposed to keep them all in like numerical expected order.
Yes, Katrina's brought up a bug that I was definitely excited about. Automatically change lost status when item is paid for. I've had to explain that so many times to my libraries that are like, why isn't that just doing it? It is logical that when I pay for it, I don't have to then go back in and edit the lost status. So that's going to be a real nice for knowing where a particular, if you look at the item, you don't have to do a lot of research to figure out what's going on with it and why that lost status may not be accurate. So that was definitely one I know my libraries are going to be very excited about. Let's see, Dani's got one. Use the REST API to display items on the biblio detail view.
As a law library, perhaps have a more even more appreciative view on that with our serials and such. So we're looking forward to seeing how that improves things and hopefully push it to the catalog at some point.
Place multiple item level holds at once for the same record. Oh yeah, that's for like book clubs. I could definitely, that's going to be a nice time saver. That's a good one that my libraries will like.
Dani, can you explain what that bug is doing? So it's when there are a lot of items on a bib, right?
As I understand it, yeah. I think it's loading differently, like, well, typical for law libraries to have hundreds of like reporters or something attached to a title. And for us now, that means if we search and we click on that title, we're waiting for it to load and waiting and waiting. So hopefully the API loading of that holdings table will be more expedient. There'll be less waiting. And so
yeah, I know there's a couple consortia that have tons of items on records We've done some things to just avoid all that, but they kind of came in that way, and I know that that'll be huge for them.
Yeah, we had just reached a pain point threshold where I was getting ready to split a bunch of bibs.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of waiting for this particular enhancement just to keep me from having to do that work. So hopefully that works nicely.
Got a couple more coming in. Barbara has more cataloging fun. The summary doesn't display the staff interface. Yes, that would be nice to see. I totally agree with that. That's a good little fix. I've actually long thought that, like, hey, wouldn't it be nice to just see that there? So doesn't functionally change the cataloging, but just makes it a little easier to look at the quality of a record and get information about it. How long is a hold waiting for pickup at more granular level? Yes, that's another one I was looking forward to. This is one that it comes up a lot where I have to explain, like, this is a global setting. We'd have to like convince a lot of libraries to change this, but now not only can we do it by the branch level, but we could do it by item and patron, which is going to be really cool. Because I know with like libraries that do like bookmobile services or homebound services, stuff like that, those circumstances are quite a bit different. So having some more granular control there is going to be super nice.
Is anybody looking to get started using bookings? I'm very curious about bookings.
We use bookings. If you have questions, feel free to ask me.
Do you mean bookings, the new feature that allows one to say that they want an item at a particular time?
Yes.
Because I know there's also room bookings.
Nope, not
that
room
cost-
bookings. This is a portion of your items in the collection have the option to place a hold into the future.
How long have you been using it?
Since we are development partner for it, so we've been using it since December-ish, January.
Cool. And
it's super
okay.
cool. It's amazing. I'm trying to remember if there's been a Monday Minute on it already. I think there has been. Yes, Jessie says there has been. So be sure to check that out. But if you want, if you want me to step you through anything or send you some screenshots of how we're using it, I'm happy to do that.
I guess my big question is it as confusing as it seems to have this wholly parallel system that is not a hold but works like a hold?
No, well, so there's some hoped for things yet, but for the most part, it's just you look at the bib record for the item that can be booked, and there's a booking section, and you can look at the calendar and who's got it booked and when. There's like a little timeline. PTFS Europe did a lot of work on this. So it's there are still a few things like making it sync up with some circ rules or making it work with patron accounts a little bit more that are still in the works, but there's a lot of great stuff going on with it right now.
Well, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap my head around that so I can explain it to our libraries in a way that won't confuse them. So I may reach out.
What we use it for right now are a lot of our staff use kits for story time, and they want them booked. They want to make sure they have it ahead of time. Or we have book discussion groups or book discussion kits for classes, like teachers that want 10 books of the Lemonade War or something like that.
I could also see some equipment and stuff like that, maybe.
Yeah.
That being useful for that type of thing.
I have a hard time getting past the idea that I can't really promise something will be here on a given date unless the system comes with hired goons to go physically retrieve the items. And so I don't want to promise anybody that a thing will be here on a date.
Do you do that? Do you have libraries of things right now?
A few things, not a lot.
Okay.
Maybe I need to trust my patrons more. Maybe they will be good if I let them.
I do remember way back when I actually worked in the library, that patrons would regularly say, "Oh, well, that's overdue. Let's call that patron up right now and arrange for them to to bring it back today." It's like, well, no, we don't really do that. We got another bug that Katrina's mentioned. A lot of patrons have overdue items that would not result in debarment when removing overdue debarments.
Right
That's
now,
a
it's
option.
an off-on switch, which
Mhm.
if something goes overdue and then you pay that one off or you return it, but you've still got other things that are overdue, it doesn't remove the restriction. And so this allows you to say, if that thing that caused the restriction is returned, that it just gives a third option that makes it do what I think it should do in the first place.
Yeah, I know I was on that bug because like we restrict people at a week overdue. So like for that first 7 days, it's cool. It can be late. I don't care.
Yep.
Well, I'm starting to see a little momentum running out on this. I do want to mention that our next general meeting will not be a month from now, because we are going to have it as part of the conference, which is, just a little bit over a month away, which is crazy to think of. But so we will be doing that. Will be held at, what is the day? I am
14
the
is the
14th.
Wednesday.
Yeah. So that Wednesday, and that will be a little bit later, just like I believe an hour and a half later than our normal start time, or maybe, I don't know. Anyway, it's on the schedule, but we'll be doing the meeting there, and that'll be a hybrid of in person and online. So we're going to try to make that meeting a little bit different than what we normally do here. And in fact, for those on the conference committee, that's one of the things we'll be planning a little bit once this meeting's over. So we're gonna try to make that a little bit unique, since it's unique circumstances. So after that, we will return to our normally scheduled first Wednesday of the month meetings at the same time and place. So those will return in September, but I hope to see a lot of you in person next month, and some of you that can't make it, I will see online. But I think we can end a few minutes early. Again, thanks to Nick, and especially thanks to Katrin for joining us and talking about various things. It was really informative.
Hey.
I think we can stop the recording.
My apologies on being late.